said it earlier, and he's going for it. Thunderous left.
Welcome back to Heavy Jabs, the channel that delivers the hardest-hitting boxing insights on YouTube. If you're a fan of the sweet science and want to stay ahead of the curve on the next generation of boxing superstars, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more knockout content that'll keep you in the know. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most electrifying questions in heavyweight boxing right now. Just how good is MOSES ITAUMA in the boxing ring? And folks, after dissecting this young phenom's career, we can tell you that what we've discovered will absolutely blow your mind. This isn't just another prospect story. This is the making of boxing royalty. Let's start with the cold hard facts that'll make your jaw drop. MOSES ITAUMA currently sits at a perfect 12-0 record with 10 knockouts. That's an 83% knockout ratio that would make Mike Tyson himself sit up and take notice. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. This kid is only 20 years old, and he's already ranked number 1 by the WBO, 6th by the IBF, 10th by the WBC, and 2nd by the WBA at heavyweight. Those are at prospect rankings, folks. Those are elite contender positions that grown men spend decades trying to reach. Standing at 6 feet 6 inches with a reach of 78.7 inches, ITAUMA fights from the southpaw stance, which immediately gives him a strategic advantage over the majority of heavyweight fighters who are orthodox. But it's not just his physical dimensions that make him special. It's what he does with them that separates him from every other young heavyweight on the planet. When you watch ITAUMA fight, you're witnessing a boxing prodigy who combines the raw power of a sledgehammer with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker. The boxing world first started buzzing about this mysterious teenager approximately 5 years ago when stories began circulating about a kid who would show up to gyms in his school uniform and proceed to give established world-level fighters all they could handle in sparring. Imagine being a seasoned professional boxer, someone who's been in the ring with the best in the world, and then having some teenager in school clothes walk in and make you question your career choices. That's exactly what was happening with MOSES ITAUMA, and it should have been the first warning sign that something truly special was brewing. His amateur career reads like a fairy tale that someone might have written after binge-watching every Rocky movie ever made. With an unbeaten record of 24 wins and 11 knockouts, ITAUMA collected gold medals at the schools, juniors, youth Europeans, and the heavyweight youth world championships. This wasn't just a kid who was good at boxing. This was a generational talent, announcing himself to the world before most people even knew his name. When you dominate amateur boxing at that level, you're not just beating other prospects, you're dismantling the future of the sport before they even turn professional. But here's where the MOSES ITAUMA story becomes absolutely ridiculous in the best possible way. Most fighters spend years learning how to transition from amateur to professional boxing. The timing is different, the gloves are smaller, the pressure is intense, and many promising amateurs crumble under the weight of expectation. Not MOSES ITAUMA. This absolute unit turned professional at 18 years old and immediately started demolishing opponents with the kind of casual brutality that makes highlight reels go viral. His recent performances have been nothing short of spectacular entertainment that borders on the surreal. Against Demsey McKean, a fighter with a near-perfect professional record of 22 wins and 1 loss, ITAUMA needed less than 2 minutes of the first round to score 2 knockdowns and end the fight. McKean wasn't some journeyman tomato can brought in to pad statistics. He was a legitimate contender who had earned his stripes in professional boxing. ITAUMA erased him from consciousness faster than most people can make a cup of coffee. The performance against Mariusz Wach was equally devastating and perhaps even more impressive when you consider the experience gap. Wach, nicknamed the Viking, has been fighting professionally for almost as long as ITAUMA has been alive. This is a man who has shared rings with some of the biggest names in heavyweight boxing. Someone who understands every dirty trick and survival technique that decades of professional fighting can teach you. After 2 rounds at the O2 Arena in London, the referee stopped the fight because ITAUMA had methodically broken down this grizzled veteran with the kind of systematic destruction that would make a video game developer proud. Perhaps the most telling performance came against Mike Balogun, a former NFL linebacker who possessed exactly the kind of athletic background and physical toughness that could theoretically trouble a young fighter. Balogun lasted exactly 2 rounds, during which Itauma dropped him 3 times, with shots that looked like they were fired from a cannon. The first knockdown came with a trio of massive left hands within 90 seconds. The second round featured 2 more knockdowns, both from astonishing right hooks thrown while moving backward, demonstrating the kind of defensive awareness and counterpunching ability that usually takes fighters years to develop. But what makes MOSES ITAUMA truly terrifying isn't just his power. It's his boxing IQ and tactical sophistication that seems almost supernatural for someone his age. His trainer Ben Davison, who has worked with some of the best fighters in the world, describes Itauma as a generational talent and notes that timing isn't really a factor when discussing potential opponents because he's plenty good enough. When experienced trainers start talking about young fighters in those terms, you know you're dealing with someone special. Davison has also revealed something that should send chills down the spine of every heavyweight contender currently ranked above Itauma. When asked about the young fighter's chin and ability to take punishment, Davison said he's seen Itauma get hit in the gym and he sneezed it off, not a problem. In a division where one perfectly timed shot can end careers, having a granite chin to go along with devastating power and superior technique is essentially like having cheat codes activated in a boxing video game. The southpaw stance that Itauma employs is particularly effective in the heavyweight division because most fighters simply don't see enough quality left-handed opponents to develop proper defensive habits. His approach in the ring is often unpredictable due to his ability to stay patient and calculate every move with mathematical precision. This isn't some wild swinger who relies on raw athleticism. This is a chess master who happens to punch like a freight train. What's perhaps most impressive about Itauma's professional career is the speed with which he's progressed through increasingly difficult levels of opposition. Most prospects are carefully managed through a series of gradually improving opponents over several years. Itauma has been fast-tracked against legitimate competition and has made each step up look like a warm-up session. His fights average just 2.1 rounds, meaning that most of his professional opponents have lasted about as long as a typical commercial break. The boxing establishment has taken notice in a way that suggests they understand they're witnessing something historically significant. WBO President Gustavo Olivieri declared Itauma the organization's new #1 heavyweight contender after his demolition of Mike Balogun, stating that Moses has climbed the WBO rankings with talent, discipline, and electrifying performances. When sanctioning body presidents start making special announcements about 20-year-old fighters, you know the sport is preparing for a seismic shift. Former undisputed heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis has declared Itauma the next coming, which is exactly the kind of endorsement that carries serious weight in boxing circles. Lewis understands what it takes to dominate the heavyweight division, and when he identifies a young fighter as having that special quality, the rest of the boxing world pays attention. The upcoming fight against Dillian Whyte on August 16th represents the most significant test of Itauma's young career. Whyte, despite being 37 years old, remains a dangerous and experienced fighter who has shared rings with Tyson Fury and engaged in wars with Derek Chisora while Itauma was still in primary school. This is exactly the kind of fight that separates genuine contenders from manufactured prospects, and the boxing world will be watching to see if Itauma can maintain his perfect record against someone with Whyte's pedigree. What makes this matchup particularly intriguing is that Whyte represents everything that Itauma hasn't faced yet: genuine heavyweight experience, championship-level pressure, and the kind of ring craft that can only be developed through years of high-level professional boxing. If Itauma can dispatch Whyte in his typical devastating fashion, it will send a clear message to every heavyweight champion and contender that a new sheriff is coming to town. The technical aspects of Itauma's fighting style reveal a sophistication that belies his age and experience level. His unique ability to read opponents and position himself effectively in the ring has consistently led to devastating and fight-ending combinations. This isn't just about having a good left hand. This is about understanding distance, timing, and psychology in ways that usually take fighters decades to master. His mental toughness and sheer physical strength have become legendary topics of conversation among boxing insiders. In a post-fight interview, Itauma revealed that he gets his strength from his Nigerian heritage and his mental toughness from his Slovak side. This combination of physical gifts and psychological resilience creates exactly the kind of fighter who can handle the pressure of championship-level boxing while still maintaining the killer instinct necessary to end fights early. The heavyweight division has been waiting for someone like MOSES ITAUMA for years. While the current champions are all talented fighters, the sport has been craving a young, explosive, and charismatic heavyweight who can capture the imagination of casual fans while simultaneously terrifying everyone ranked above him. ITAUMA represents exactly that kind of generational talent who can elevate the entire division through his presence. His professional activity level has been impressive, fighting approximately every 6 months, which demonstrates both his dedication to staying busy and his confidence in his abilities. Many young prospects are carefully managed with long layoffs between fights to minimize risk. But ITAUMA has maintained a pace that suggests he's eager to reach the top of the division as quickly as possible. The comparison to Mike Tyson is inevitable and probably unfair to both fighters, but there are undeniable similarities in terms of early career dominance and the ability to generate knockout highlights that transcend the sport of boxing. Like Tyson in his prime, Itauma possesses the kind of explosive power that can end fights with a single perfectly placed shot, combined with the technical skills to set up those shots against increasingly sophisticated opposition. What separates Itauma from many other promising heavyweights is his apparent comfort level under pressure and his ability to perform his best work when the stakes are highest. His knockout of Demsey McKean took place on the undercard of Oleksandr Usyk vs. Tyson Fury, which represents exactly the kind of high-profile stage where young fighters often struggle with nerves. Instead of being overwhelmed by the moment, Itauma delivered perhaps his most devastating performance to date. The future trajectory of MOSES Itauma's career appears to be pointing directly toward championship fights and super fights that could define the heavyweight division for the next decade. His combination of youth, power, technique, and mental toughness represents exactly the kind of package that creates legendary fighters. At 20 years old, he has already accomplished more than most heavyweights achieve in entire careers, and he's just getting started. The boxing world is preparing for the MOSES Itauma era, and based on everything we've seen so far, it's going to be absolutely spectacular. This isn't just another prospect with good numbers. This is a once-in-a-generation talent who has the tools, the mentality, and the support system to become one of the greatest heavyweights in boxing history. The only question isn't whether he'll become champion. It's how many championship fights he'll win and how long he'll hold on to the crown once he gets there. So there you have it. Heavy Jabs faithful. MOSES Itauma isn't just good in the boxing ring. He's absolutely phenomenal in ways that suggest we're witnessing the early stages of a legendary career. If you enjoyed this deep dive into boxing's next superstar, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more exclusive content that keeps you ahead of the curve on everything happening in the world of boxing. The heavyweight division is about to get very interesting, and you won't want to miss a single moment of what's coming next.